Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones and also by Bill Hunker. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on,
Good
Dale?
evening.
We have a lot of news for you tonight. In our newscast this evening, we're going to start off with Dave Strahan. Dave Strahan got some attention for himself today when he decided to go out in front of the courthouse with a number of other people and protest the idea that the Oath Keepers are somewhere out in the forest and they don't like it. They have weapons out there somewhere. They haven't seen them out there with the weapons, but it makes them nervous. So the TV stations, they were invited to this press conference. And as it turned out, the Oath Keepers found out about the press conference too, and that they decided to show up. It was interesting the way that this was covered. And Mike's seen some of it too. Tell us some of what you saw in these newscasts, Mike.
Not much. Basically, you had one guy, looks like he's a couple of years out of high school, tall, skinny guy. And, they were all talking about how they're wringing their hands that the Oath Keepers are in town with some weapons. Well, they're not in town. They're 40 miles out of town in some mine back in the bush. Listen, if they knew how many guns are on my street, they would freak out. This idea that somehow the presence of people who are armed is scary to them. Hello, guys. I got a news flash for you. This whole county is armed to the teeth.
Well, basically what Dave Strahan had said, and we'll tell you a little bit about Dave Strahan. Dave Strahan, well, Mike watches over the social media sites because there's a lot of activity going on there, and we often will get little bits and pieces of news there, and we get people's opinions as well. Now, when you've got a political a talk site, one could think that you're going to get people on there that are going to be exchanging opinions, and sometimes the discussion can get a little heated.
Yes.
Dave Strahan was so incapable, I'm not making this up, so incapable of playing nice with others that they warned him, and they finally had to kick Dave Strahan off, not because he was having a different opinion from other people, because that's a political site. What do you think is going to happen?
No, and
but because I'm not
Yes.
going to quote what Dave Strahan said, but the point is, if you say, well, I don't like your opinion, and you stink, well, no, wait a minute. That's not part of the political discussion, really, is it?
Yeah, well, I think you're playing a little kid glove with this guy because he doesn't say that. He's an insufferable jerk.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I can say that because we don't have those kind of rules here. We can say what we're thinking. Dave Strahan is an insufferable jerk, and I'm glad he's no longer on that particular site, but he's on others. And that wasn't the first one he was kicked out of either. This guy's he's just a stirrer.
Well, I first ran into this guy, Dave Strahan, because I was a substitute teacher at the high school. I told you about that before. And I discovered that they were misspending the money, that they were taking the money that was supposed to go to the kids and they were spending on things like big stuffed chairs and mahogany tables, things like that. Okay. And, I mentioned this to the city officials and to Dave Strahan, who was with the school board at that time. And he just was not happy. And he's since told people, well, that Dale Matthews certainly wastes people's time. Really? So for those of you who think children are the most important asset in our community, I'm not sure I 100% agree with you. You can have a discussion with Dave Strahan and say, now, Dave, why did you say that? Oh, here's another one. This was a real good one. When I called in to Kjo and I mentioned just a brief little thing about how the Rotary Club was a place where the commissioners went and were disobeying the law by being there with a quorum and talking about county business, I was cut off at the knees by Carl Wilson. You're never going to be allowed to be on this, so we're not going to share our community with a person such as Piss. I criticized his Rotary Club. Dave Strahan called in, along with Rika Brown, and Rika was ecstatic. And Dave Strahan, it made my day. Why, I am so happy. I just can't believe he did such a wonderful thing on getting rid of that Dale Matthews. Really? That's Dave Strahan. Thank you, Dave. So Dave came out with his friends, and here's the way the media, see, we also covered the media. So Channel 12 was there to say it was a group. It was a group of citizens who were upset
Yeah,
about the Oath Keepers out there, and then they didn't discuss anything about what happened at the end of the press conference. It was a press conference, right?
mm-hmm.
Well, Channel 5 decided to handle that a little differently. Now, did I get that right? Yes, Channel 5 handled that differently. What they said is, we asked the guy who was the young guy that was speaking if they're a group, and he said, no, we're not a group. We're just citizens. Oh, sorry, Channel 12. You got the story wrong again. Okay. Sorry to get so upset. And the other thing is that at the end of this press conference, they said, well, we're going to open up for questions now. So Joseph Rice had a question. They abruptly decided that they weren't going to answer any questions after all. And
Yes.
at least a very small part of that, and we captured that video, was captured by Channel 5. Now, Channel 12 didn't mention it at all. Channel 5 at least put up a little bit. Now, let's see if we get this straight. You're going to have a press conference, and you talk about how nervous you are that someone's way out in the woods over here with weapons protecting this guy's constitutional rights. Okay, that makes you very nervous. And so as Dave Strahan had mentioned, it'll be in tomorrow's Daily Courier. Okay, tomorrow's Courier. And Dave Strahan said, we don't want them here, and they should go home, and they're not needed. Really, Dave? You decided that all by yourself, did you? Okay, so that's Dave Strahan's instructions to Oath Keepers. So Oath Keepers came to the press conference. Then, when it came time to answer questions, they just suddenly said, you know, we're not going to answer any questions after all. Really? Okay. No matter what side you are on this, just calm down. They're not in your community. They're way out in the woods. You have to travel 40 minutes to even find them, and you're never going to find them unless they take you there. Just chill out.
Yeah, he that was overboard. It was overboard. And you know what? This is apparently Dave Strahan is also a disturber in the environmental community too, and the miners all know him. I found out because I'm friends with Kirby Jackson on Facebook, and he was talking about this story and posting recollections of Dave Strahan. In any event.
Well, you know, I have no problem with someone who's kind of a fan of, maybe not a fanatic, but a fan for their thing. And I have no problem if somebody's going to disagree. That's okay. And I have no problem with people pointing fingers. I don't even have any problem with somebody being kind of confrontational. Ooh, me? No, I don't. But what I don't like is I don't like somebody saying, yeah, well, you smell. This has nothing to do with the argument. Can we please have a little bit higher argument here? Maybe just a little bit more intellectual? And what does it take to get completely tossed off of a political website where people have all kinds of different ideas? You just don't talk and play well with others.
Yes.
Okay. So another thing that happened that's in the news is I got on the phone to London this morning. Woohoo! And I talked with the London Daily Mail. It seems that Reuters correspondent that's been out there with the Oath Keepers sent in an article to the London Daily Mail. So it's a combination article of the Daily Mail and Reuters.
On screen now.
Oh, very nice, Mike. Okay, so let's look at this. So what's the headline? It says, gun-toting right-wing militia stoke fears of armed confrontation in Oregon. Gun-toting right-wing militia stoke fears of armed confrontation in Oregon. Wherever it is there on the screen. Okay, so here's the thing. So I call them up, and I get the London Daily Mail fellow that helped write this article.
Hello, this is the London Daily Mail. May I help you?
Yes. Have you found Jack the Ripper yet? Okay.
I'm sorry, we cannot answer questions about that now.
I'm with the colonies.
Oh, a Yank.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Stop yanking my chain here.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's stop now. That's as far as we can go.
Okay. So here's the deal. I had a nice long conversation with this fellow. That's my picture on your screen. Let's
Yes,
not
and
do it that way. Thank you.
okay. There you go, Dale.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so I had a nice long conversation with this fellow about the Constitution in the United States of America. We are no longer a colony. And I explained to him the First and Second Amendments. First Amendment, that's what we do. Second Amendment, that's what the Oath Keepers are doing. And I also explained the due process law, which they do not have in England. Just to put it in context for you, they cannot own weapons. Okay, so when they see people walking around with weapons on their own property, it makes the Brits very nervous.
Well, and you know what's funny? When Dale says weapons, he's not kidding, because it's not just guns. Now it's like knives, and pretty soon it's going to be like clubs and stuff like that. They can't own weapons.
Yeah, well, another thing that you may not know about the Brits is talking with a friend of mine. She says, when I was last in the United States, I sure saw a lot of flags. A lot of flags. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we can't do that here. You can't do that there? No, you see, if we put out a flag, it has to be on like Guy Fawkes Day, certain days. Certain days? Yeah, and if you put out your flag in Britain on a day where it's not allowed, hope you're sitting down, the government can come and take it away. Because you see, even though you purchased that, the flag belongs to the government. So imagine if they tried that here. In fact, they did try that here. It was a little while ago. When was that? 1776? They'll come by and take your flag.
Well, here we wear them on our heads.
Oh, man.
That? Yeah. Oh. It's one of the pictures from that Reuters story. We got it all over uniforms and everything. I mean, we're crazy.
So I digress. Okay, so I'm having a conversation with the guy, trying to explain to him how is it possible that the federal government, anybody's federal government, can do something which may not be quite proper, and citizens have to stand up and say, let's have due process. Let's do something about this. Oh, look at this vicious dog, and let's do something about this. There's the mine. And so I did what I could as American to try to set these British guys straight about what the heck is going on here. Remember, the title is Gun-Toting Right-Wing Militia Stoke Fears of Armed Confrontation in Oregon. Nice. Nice. Okay, so now we come to the next part of our newscast, something that we run across. I see this every once in a while, just about every election. I am not seeing this reaction from the anti-levy people, but because we become so popular now, and because people are starting to catch on that you're not going to be getting the news from Cajo, not at all. They won't even report the vote that took place with the Republicans. They refused to report the vote. So, good luck with decision 2015 if you only look at the news on Cajo. Carl Wilson, why aren't you reporting this at all? It's your party. Are you not a Republican? Yeah, right.
And before we show this thing here, we all have to concede now that clearly crime is on the rise in Josephine County.
Well, and here's video of the people who are breaking the law. Go ahead, show this. It's a little hard to see, sorry. It's the best that could be done.
Okay. This is about 11:56 last night. And the gentleman let me have this footage from his security camera. There's somebody getting out of a car and stealing his no new taxes sign and taking it and throwing it in the trunk of their car. And then they're going to drive away. Isn't that nice?
Why don't you show that again while Bill and I talk about what we know happened at Parkway and M Street. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Parkway and M Street, evidently there was a real crime fest last night for signage because Parkway and M had two or maybe even three. I haven't gotten the count, but I know two large 4x8 signs, not only torn down, but then torn up. And I figured that that's a fair amount of anger. You tear it down, that's a little bit of time, but then to take your extra time and get your anger out by tearing the sign up, that's a little unusual. So there were two big 4x8 signs there. Then they also took out signs down M Street that were just in front of homes, the smaller signs. So we figured that's team number two, maybe, who knows. And then they also took out a sign down New Hope Road, another 4x8. So last night was a little bit of a crime spree. I don't see where they took out any of the pro-levy signs. I haven't heard any reports on that. But anyway,
well, good luck
so
finding
last night was they had a party.
You have to find a pro-levy sign first.
What pro-levy sign? They've all been stolen, right? Yeah, right. This is obviously a team. It's a team that's going. Maybe this was their one and only stop, but it looks, this is obviously a team, and they drive up and quickly get out and pull the sign out of the signs at Parkway and M. One of them was thrown into the street, and the other was crumpled up, pulled out of the ground. That's very, very hard ground over there. Pulled out of the ground, and look at this. No matter how fast the guy puts the sign back out, they must have made this is the fifth time they've come and taken it.
Right.
This one evening.
In the past few minutes, he's like running out with one sign after another. They keep taking it. What's wrong with these people?
They keep popping back up again.
Get your own darn sign. They're giving them away, for crying out loud.
So I talk with these guys briefly ahead of time. I really have very little patience with people who say, sorry, you may be one of those, oh, well, that's just politics. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. It's part of this thing that we're seeing where if somebody asks you a question, you say, time for questions at the press conference. You ask a question. No, we're not going to take any questions. Really? It's like time to speak at the weekly business session. Oh, we're not going to let you speak. Really? Time to call into KJO. Well, we're going to ban you for life. Really? Time to put up your signs. Oh, but we're going to steal the ones that we don't like. What is this thing? We're Americans. We can compete in the marketplace of ideas without stealing someone else's sign and crushing their ability to speak, right?
No, we can't. No, we can't.
We're hardier than that.
Wow.
Come on. Okay, we've got other fun things to share with you now, and I'm going to get the chance to see a mic plus a little insert of Bill Hunker. Bill, unfortunately, as we can see many times in this show, does seem to be sort of, as we've said in the past, frozen in fear. We try not to be too tough on Bill, but we do put up his picture over the shoulder of Mike. And you may notice, see, I'm vamping here because Mike's preparing the photo. You may notice that when you see that bridge behind Mike, the bridge at night, you see it gets darker faster at Mike's house than it does at mine. It seems like it's still light outside, but when you see Mike and the bridge behind him, it's obviously in the middle of the night. So he's living in a section of the county where it gets dark much faster.
Yes, and I have a bridge that's an exact replica of the Grants Pass iconic bridge down there. This is in my backyard. This is actually a koi pond here. And that I built myself, and all these lights and everything. It's a perfect replica. I spent a lot of time and money on this. I'll have you know.
He arranges Bill's.
Don't make fun of I can have it be nighttime anytime I want it to be.
So see, I was vamping while he was supposed to be putting up Bill's photo, and he's not doing that. Instead,
that's right. I'm not.
The bridge behind him. Now I'm going to come back to me rather than see a huge picture close up of Bill's nose. And what Mike does is he arranges the photograph so it fits in, and the little lattice work of the. Why are they talking about this? Because I'm trying to fill time. I explained that to you already. I can already see the people on social media. It was such blather. They just were talking about lattice work and things like that. He fills it. He makes it work out so that Bill's lattice work behind him actually. Oh, you're sinking in your chair. His lattice work actually helps hold up the bridge. Can you see that? It's perfect. You probably never noticed that. Oh, all right. That's enough of that. You're making everybody dizzy. So here's Bill Hunker. He's covering the news. You're covering the news, Bill. Oh, you're going to put it over there now. Oh, okay. See, he's switched from the left wing to the right wing now.
Hey, you know what? I mean, you could talk about substantive things, and then you won't have to worry about what's going on with me moving around all over the place. You know?
Hey,
okay, here we go. This is,
those,
now Bill is on my left. He's been on my right. Now he's on my left. Hey, it's all cool.
We try to have balanced politics in our show. Okay. So,
okay.
All right. Here's the point. We are going to have more.
There's a point. There's a point.
Goofing around. Yeah. It's our show.
Yes.
And if you don't like the show, I don't like the show. They never get to the point quickly. You know what? Why are you watching this show if you don't like any of this stuff? Just go read the Courier. They probably got something very nice in there about pets or kittens and sunshine and dogs and ice cream cones. Certainly, you could be much more entertained by that than by this. Okay, I've done enough vamping. All that's over now. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Bill Hunker. The sheriff has decided that, sheriff and police chief have decided they put out they had a press conference. And Mike has that he was going to have the front page of that press conference there. And the idea was that, as we pointed out to you the other day, it is possible for the Courier to have a headline that comes up like almost immediately. Daniel says county crime has not decreased. And in this article, Dave Daniels says that the whole idea that the city has more crime than the county is a myth. Oh, I kind of like Dave Daniel. Yeah. And so when he says that to try to pass this levy, I'm thinking, wait a minute, Dave, you're now saying that who he's talking about is Bill Hunker. I don't know if you caught that, Bill, but this is really about you, bud. And Dave Daniel is now saying in order to pass this levy that there is not more crime inside Grants Pass City than there is in the rest of the county. Really? So, Bill, what do you have to say about that, bud?
Well, it's certainly an opinion. I don't know how informed it is. What I found out was the press conference. I was there for most of it. Was that they picked stats and numbers, but they gave them out of context. So I think if someone had actually pinned him down and said, just a minute, are you saying that in the last 18 years there has been no drop in crime? Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm sure he would have said. But he never did say that. He just made these broad stroke assertions that crime was not going down and, in fact, was getting worse, and he had all kinds of good reasons for that.
Now, Bill, just let me interject for a second here. I have the little flyer that he was handing out to people at that presser, and any part of it that you want on screen, you just let me know.
Well, let's just take it right from the top then, Mike, because this was his lead, strong number one argument. And as if you were at the press conference and then read the article in the Courier, they also use this as their strong lead paragraph. Mm-hmm. And the reason they did is in red, they pointed it out in red, that it shows an 850% increase in the major crime team activations of our Oregon State Police between 2011 2013. And you know what? I don't disagree with this at all. I think these numbers are absolutely right. I found the numbers in 2011, 2012, and then 2013. But what you don't have is any context for these numbers. In 2011, the Oregon State Police came out, for the whole year this is, in 2011, they came out twice for major team activations. Mm-hmm. And then in 2012, they did 100% more. They went up to 4 or 5. It looks like
it was 6. It was 6. No, hold on, just a second, Bill.
Bill, that year.
Hello, Bill.
It was 6. Okay. 2012 was 6. Yeah.
Bill, just say, see, there's a delay, and that's why I'm saying, Bill. Okay, Mike, could you drop your lower third, please? And is it possible to zoom in on that graph, sir?
I am zoomed on this graph.
Oh,
And you want me to get rid of my lower third? Is that what you're saying?
if you don't mind.
Okay,
sir.
well, it's not coming back after this. I'll have you know.
Oh,
Okay. So there you go.
is it back?
Yeah.
No,
so we have in 12.
No, that's me.
We have 6.
It's coming. It's coming.
We got it.
It's live broadcast, so just don't worry. I'm not.
A live
Yeah,
television show.
Are you seeing it now, Dale? Because if you don't, there's some kind of a weird problem.
I do. See
Okay,
it now,
there you go.
yes.
Awesome.
It's not red. It's in blue, but whatever.
Well, no, the 850% is in red.
Oh, the lettering. I see. Okay,
Yes.
and this
The
is the
lettering, yes,
graphic.
that he points out.
The
Yes.
first one is 2.
And
The second one is 6, and the third one is 19. 2, 6, and
is
19.
19. And that does add up, if you have the correct numbers here, to an 850% increase between 2013 and 2011.
Right.
So I don't disagree with that at all. But what you have to understand is you have 19 incidences of crime in 2013, incidents of crime.
Hey, and you know what? We have a very similar graph to that, which shows, you know, a stratospheric increase. And here, let me just put it on screen. It's kind of self-explanatory. This is the badcounty.com staffing level. Yes.
Something to compare by.
Yes, and it's very, very current. It's from today.
Okay.
At 6:30, we had one person on the staff, active on the staff. Then at 6:45, we had 2. That's 100% increase.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
In 15 minutes?
Yes. And then at 7 o'clock, it went up to 3.
Right.
Wow, that's 300% increase in 30 minutes.
Well,
It's a
actually,
200% increase.
200, yes. We want to be accurate here.
Yeah, right. So
200% increase, yes.
at 6:30, it was just me. And then at can you bring up the graph again? At 6:30, it was only me, and at 6:45, it was me and Mike, and then at 7 o'clock, it was me, Mike, and Bill. And look at the numbers along this left side. It goes from 0 to 0.25 to 0.50 to 0.75. It's
say all the numbers, Dale. Say them all.
No, I'm trying to point out how scientifically accurate this is. And you see the little red box on the right side, staffing level, in case you don't know. And listen, we all of us come from a science background and from a media background on this show. And here's the point. If you only take 3 numbers, now that's 1, 2, and 3, and that's all that you have is 1, 2, and 3, or 2, 6, and 19. And that's all that you have. I'm not talking about percentage. We're just talking about 1, 2, and 3, or 2, 6, and 19. You can't. Those are individual numbers, and so that's a terrible way to compare things. 2, 6 to 19. Of course, I made the graph look exactly like this. That's not the right, proper scientific way to compare things. What it's not doing is we're not talking about percent. And the other thing that happens in their charts that they're suddenly coming up with now. Suddenly now they have numbers. Well, what they're saying, you may recall there was an earlier chart where they were saying, well, look, you take the one on the left and you're ranking number 1, and then you're ranking 2, and then you're ranking number 3. Well, the same thing with my chart. One person, you're ranking 1, 2. Oh, it's twice as many, and now you're ranking 3, and then 3. Well, you know that it's going through the roof. 19 crimes is not going through the roof.
Yes, especially when you talk about the total number of crimes that took place in that year. Now, also, there's something else that needs to be talked about here that that isn't part of this equation that they're talking about. During this time, in the mid 2012, we had a massive funding cutback, and some of the things that the sheriff ordinarily would have taken the call on then went to the OSP. So that would account for the fact that their major crime team activations. I doubt the sheriff has a major crime team. They just call it send an officer out,
right?
Or but that could be a huge part of the accounting on these elevation of these numbers.
So let me ask you, as our viewers, if you had 2 crimes, would you be alarmed? If you had 6 crimes, not you personally, but the county, would you be alarmed? Listen, even if you had 19 crimes in the county, would you be alarmed? Really? This is alarming. This is a stratospheric rise. This is crime going through the roof. It's 19. Just let's add them together. 19 and 6 is 25, and then another 2 is 27. 27 crimes. Oh no, there's a disaster in our county. This is not making it. But I mean, I can appreciate the fact that they are trying to come up with any kind of numbers. Remember, the numbers don't exist. They don't exist anywhere. But they're trying. 27 crimes. Really?
Yes.
That's the best that you guys can do?
And not only that, it's in a pool of 7,500 total crimes that took place in any one of those given years, somewhere around that 7,500. We are talking about a sliver in a pie chart so small you'd be hard pressed to see it.
You can't graph it. It's point
let me ask.
Wait, hang on a second. Say that again, Bill.
I say it's 0.0025%.
Yes.
If you go with percentage,
that's like a hair on a. If you tried to graph, you would never see it.
Right.
So gentlemen, as law enforcement, I have brought to you. Finally, you keep demanding numbers. If you want real money, you got to give us real money, real numbers. I have now brought you the numbers. 27 crimes. Can I have my money now?
Right.
That's right.
That is exactly what's going on here, and this is it is really getting tired.
Another thing, Mike, to follow up with what you had to say about the dispatch calls going over to OSP, that certainly did happen. It happened in 12, 13. It's happened all the years before. Generally, they have been lower than they were when the funding was cut back. But what's not spoken about here is that the OSP put into Salem for extra manpower to handle this. And they brought 4 deputies over extra to our county and 12.
Right.
They also put in 13 4 extra deputies back down to Central Point where the parent office is. And then in 15, actually was put in 14, but funded in January of this year, they received in that one office 4 more detectives to handle not just Josephine County, but Curry, Klamath, and Josephine County, and the extra workload.
Bill, right now on the screen is the 2013 OSP dispatch calls, and they have a graph, and I'm sorry that this didn't scan perfectly well. You can't read those numbers on it, but I mean, you can see that the blue graph is 2012 and the red graph is 2013, and the numbers of dispatch calls that the OSP took in 2013 is higher. Well, of course it was, because they had this cutback in the funding of the sheriff. And so the OSP took more of the calls.
Well, there's one other thing, Mike, just to forgive us here. I am looking at the press release fact sheet right now. It's very difficult to read it on this piece of paper as well. So I think you did a pretty good job with that. Little self-congratulation here. Really, I love to have a debate, but you're going to have to do much better than this. This is really disappointing. That's it. That's all that we get.
It's more disappointing as you turn the page.
Yes. Okay. And you know what? I will do that here. Let's see here. Tell
Come on,
with
guys!
this-
Would you
oh,
put
okay.
up a fight? Come on, come on! You're professional law enforcement people. Where's the fight? This is the best that you can do. Look at
Okay.
this pathetic chart. Come
Okay.
on.
Hang on a second here, because yeah, save some of that that vitriol here, because we have this is the Cave Junction area crime incidents reported this year increased by 183% over the same period in 2014.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? They give you the numbers in the verbiage on the back page, and they said it went from 40 to 60. Well, that's 150%, but okay, with their new math that they use, that's all right. I'll even go with that. Let's just take the 60 and say that every quarter we're having a full-blown 60. So 4 and 6 is 24. If you put that into the number of incidences of crime in Josephine County for that year, it's 3%. So we're talking about Cave Junction with its stratospheric increase being 3% of the total picture anyway.
Right. So,
that's the context in this. It's not, and by the way, if you look at these numbers that add all this up, they've got, 2s and 3s and 5s and, again, not building any kind of a real solid case at all.
Well, and not only that, these 2s and 3s and 5s, I mean, this could be a barking dog, disturbing the peace.
Yep.
I mean, these could be minor little things. It's just any little thing that came into their CJ substation, they're going crazy on here.
And not just could be, but it was mentioned at the Republican Central Committee meeting. One of the fellows there is from Cave Junction, and he said that is what this is about. That's not just speculation. What's happening here, everybody, is that we're killing them with their own numbers.
Yes.
And they've made it clear, they've said again and again and again that they really prefer not to talk about the numbers. Now you can see why. But now that we're killing them with this, and we're talking about really the three of us that are doing this, mostly by Bill Hunker. This guy is not smiling so much now that Bill Hunker's on the case. And since we're trotting out these numbers and talking about them and analyzing this, now they're playing catch up. And they can see that they're losing this, but you still have to vote, okay? Don't just sit at home and not vote. You can sit at home and vote.
Absolutely.
It's by mail. And so they're bringing out anything that they can. I love a good fight, but this isn't a good fight. This is like one-sided.
This is fourth quarter Hail Mary is what this is. And the only people that they're going to get with these is non-thinking people, because thinking people are going to go, let me understand this a little bit better. And they look at those little reported incidents and the little number graph over there. I mean, if you do any analysis on this at all, it folds and it shows to be, as two-dimensional as it really is.
Yeah, exactly. It's if they had solid numbers, they would have hauled them out right at the top of the whole campaign, because that would have been the facts that people could base their decisions on. And they don't have those. They're these bits and dribs and drabs that they're trying to paste together a context or a campaign. But they've missed the context at all. In fact, the only one that has context at all is their last one here that they put in here with the ranking, which is straight out of, I think they actually just copied it right out of the page. But that is correct. Josephine is 7th in the 36 counties. They are absolutely right in the verbiage. It has moved up. What they don't want you to know is it sounds like we're the only ones that moved up. I just a few minutes ago said, let me just see what Jackson and Douglas did over the same period of time. And so from 2008, backwards, 8, 9, 10, 11. If we go back to 2008, we had 15, then 12, then 4, 3, 2 for Jackson. So they moved up. Josephine went from 19 to 18 to 14 to 9 to 7 in 2012. Well, we're now at 7, so we moved up. Douglas went from 28 to 29 to 21 to 18 to 13. So they moved up. And in fact, Douglas moved up more spaces than anyone. They moved up 15 spaces. Jackson moved up 13 spaces, and we moved up 12 spaces.
Now, the thing that's hard to see on this, Bill, the thing that's hard to see on this is the rate per 10,000. This is what I was talking about earlier when it comes to ranking, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 kind of thing. It's hard to see on this, but I will tell you what it says. Deschutes County says 516. This is per 1,000. Josephine County is, yes, Josephine County is a little bit worse with 518 versus 516 per 1,000. And then Umatilla is 522. Well, the difference between 516, 519, and 522 is really small.
Yeah.
So should we be panicked about the fact that we rise up a number or two based on the idea that, oh, look, we've got 3 more crimes? Well, okay, yes, that makes you a little bit worse than the next guy, but that doesn't mean that it's a crime wave. This is, look, I know they're trying. They really are trying, but it's a little too late now. I mean, the ballots are already out in the mail. And the idea that they're going to come in and say, do you realize that we've got 4 more crimes than last year? No, this is not going to do it. I'm still not going. We're going to do a cost-benefit analysis of this whole thing and say, you know what? 4 more crimes, that doesn't send me into a panic. It would send the people that were on the front steps of the courthouse into a panic to realize that there's anything that's happening that they don't like that's happening in someone else's house. But the whole idea of saying,
those people are already in a panic,
brother. The idea that you're worked up about something where people in the county have said no 9 times. Not 4 times, like it says in the Courier. 9 times they've said no, and they're looking at this. And I even said to the sheriff, when to the police chief, I was at that press conference at the end of it because I was at a county commissioners meeting. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Thursday's meeting on Saturday. Sorry. But I even said to him, it's obvious, is it not, that and I did say in proper English, is it not, that the county residents are doing a cost-benefit analysis. They're saying, well, what's the, okay, crime going up, okay, versus property taxes going up. Which do I want? They're doing a cost-benefit analysis, and the chief agreed. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Well,
we're always doing that, and Dale, you're absolutely right to point that out. The difference between 6, 7, and 8 is 6 crimes per 10,000.
Brother.
6 crimes per 10,000, such rate 6, 7, 8. But you jump up to 2 to Jackson County, fully funded. They're over 100 more per 10,000
at full funding
to make spot number 2.
Or I shouldn't say full funding. They're at the funding where we would be if the levy passed.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you this theory.
We're doing extremely well with the funding we've had, and again, I'm not. You've heard me say this before. I am not against the fact that we need to do something about funding in this county. I'm against the fact that this levy, with these numbers and the particular timing, is wrong for this county. That's what I'm all about.
But they spent something like $100,000 to convince us that this is that they gave, instead of spending money on someone that could count the dang numbers and tell us the truth, which we deserve, they spent the money on somebody that's, we're doing a scientific survey. What kind of scientific survey company surveys everybody and then helps you pass the levy? That's not scientific.
Yep.
We're being manipulated by this.
Yes, and part of the problem with this is that, they're lying to us about this stuff.
Well,
they're,
oh my,
he said the
word.
Well, you know what? And they know what the truth is, and yet they came out a couple of days ago with this press conference. I guess that was yesterday, and it feels like a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
we're in a crisis. Crime is rampant. I thought that, our little appearance on KJO and what we've been saying the past few weeks about them being irresponsible about media and how they need to have their rear ends handed to them on this idea that they should be flogging your unsafety all of the time, and yet boom, they're doubling down on this stuff right now. I mean,
And-
this is criminal what they're
And
doing.
don't forget that Cheryl Walker said the reason that companies don't want to move here is because we're reporting this foolishness.
Yeah, that's well. And if you'd stop that, we would be flourishing.
Yes,
I'm sure.
So knock that.
You know,
off,
I love the word that they've chosen here. Instead of saying that we're lying, they say it's a myth. That's a nice word, myth.
Yeah.
It's a myth that most of the crime occurs in Grants Pass. Yes, and it's a myth that we have more jail capacity. A myth. That's a great word. Wish I thought of it myself.
You know, I feel bad because I still kind of like both of those guys, the chief and the sheriff, but I feel bad that they've decided to go this far with it. But the people I feel worse for are those poor people that are trying to hold up the banner saying, oh, well, no, wait, we are in a crisis. They're given these numbers to work with because we're beating them to death with these numbers. And this is all that they have. And then they've got to go on social media or make a speech or something. And this is all that they have. This thing about saying, well, it's the dark numbers of crime and it's just the way you feel. I'm not making this up. And it's your gut feeling and it's your perception. That's not working. And so now they're trying to trot out numbers too late. And these numbers are not going to stand up to any kind of scrutiny. This is the best that you can do. This is really the best that you can do. And if you want to know the best they can do, we started this off by talking about signs. Where are the signs? They're spending a fortune.
Yes.
Where are the people at the weekly business session getting up saying, you must? They're not even there.
Yeah, this is amazing thing. I think this thing is going to go down in flames like we have not seen. Because I don't know.
I'm knocking on wood for you.
Well, no, I'm saying that I don't remember a levy where you didn't at least see a pretty good showing from the other side in bumper stickers and yard signs. I've seen maybe like one or two for this levy.
Yeah, there is something going on there that I don't know what happened.
Well, that's one indicator. Yeah. Yep. And another indicator is the idea that in the past, we actually had debates where the two sides would face off with each other. It didn't work out so well for them, and they also lost. But at least they do that. Now, the only place where they'll appear is in these small groups with people that basically agree with them. Oh, yes, I agree that it's going to pass 100% to zero, and they're just talking to themselves. You know, if you've got facts, see, the problem is you can't compare, and this is an indication. These numbers are an indication. You can't compare your dark numbers of crime. That may be the case, but you're not going to be able to compare that with your own numbers fed back to you by the FBI. You just can't do that.
Right.
And like I said, if you want real money, you're going to have to give us real facts. So they're preparing for their next levy. You know that they are. And what they need to do is they need to spend that $2,500, $100,000 on getting real numbers. Except you know why they're not going to do that? You know why they're not going to do that? You know why? Because the numbers are not going to support their theory. That's right. Not going to